What's up, world? I am making a live video on DIY maintenance on my 2-year-old locks. As you can see, I've already started, but I'm not that far into it. And I may or may not put this on YouTube. The reason for this video is because I have watched every single dread video out there more than once, more than several times each. And one thing that I have found is that there are not very many dread videos for straight hair. There are a few, but there's just not very many. So I just thought that I would make a video because I can't be the only one looking for a specific type of video. Now, before I get too into this and showing you techniques that I do, let me first start off with, I am a Pacific Islander, born and raised in Wahiawa, Hawaii, and my ethnic background is that I'm Filipino, Portuguese, Japanese, Hawaiian, and Spanish. I have spent a good chunk of my later years on the mainland, and yeah, so there aren't very many videos out there for my ethnic background on dreads. There is a guy that I follow. He is the Blasian Sensation, and I follow him on YouTube and Instagram. On Instagram, he is the Blasian Sensation channel. But really, for somebody like me, he's about the only one. Yeah. So I've watched all of his dread videos, and I follow him on Instagram. And because there aren't very many, I just thought I would make my own and maybe share some of my techniques that I do for this type of maintenance. So what I'm doing today is just a root tightening and cleaning up frizz. And I wish that I could type in what it is that I'm using, because as more viewers come on, I'm pretty sure that I will be constantly asked, what is that you're using? So this here, it's a white powder, and it's called Peppa. It's a texturizing powder that I put on my roots before doing anything while it's dry. And I've only put it on my roots before I root rub. And I have put it on my ends from after I trimmed my locks, and the first little bit after you trim your locks and then you want to reblunt your dreads, they do fray out a little bit. So I have used it at the tip, and actually ever since I did that, they have not frayed out. This little guy has stayed like, it hasn't frayed out since I did that. So that's what I use that powder for. So my roots aren't that bad as far as tightness this time around. And while I do this, I also separate. And my separations aren't that bad because I keep it, I keep it pretty maintained. I may get like a hair crossed over and I just do the pulling, and yeah, so here's that's the lock peppa that I use, and then I do the root rubbing. And that leaves a nest, a matted nest. And then this is Knotty Boy's Tightening Gel. And I literally just one squirt to where there's a drop on my fingers, and I just kind of rub it around, and I take it from the root, and then I just go like that down my lock. And I do this so that there's a little bit of moisture on the lock for when I take my crochet needle and I start bringing in that matted nest that I created with the lock peppa. I've learned over my 2 years of doing this that doing this crochet hooking that I'm doing this while your hair is dry, you can hear a lot of hair snapping, a lot more hair snapping. And so a while back I started crochet hooking with my roots damp, and I started off using locking spray, which works great as well, UK's locking spray, and I of course still have it because that shit is the bomb. But it works just like, I don't know, hairspray for dreadlocks, so it doesn't stay wet very long. And it is drier than gel. So I like using the tightening gel because it stays moist a little bit longer while I'm doing this technique. And as I am doing what I'm doing right now, I do like to stick the crochet needle in the lock and pull up towards my scalp as best as I can instead of pulling straight across in the lock. That's what helps keep your locks thicker. I mean, obviously I'm right up against my head, so I cannot be pulling, I can't have my crochet hook literally, I mean, I can, but it's not easy. But yeah, you just pull up towards your scalp. And when you feel that you can't pull any more hair up towards your scalp, that's when you can, you know, whatever hairs you can pull across. This is what keeps your roots on the, you know, staying thick. And also I am constantly, you know, as I'm letting go and I'm doing this, I'm, you know, twisting. So that it stays round. This is sort of my first kind of tutorial while I'm doing my maintenance, and so I may or may not be making any sense while I'm doing this. I apologize. And this is a for real maintenance session. I'm not just doing this for the sake of the video. This is not a demo. This is like a real maintenance. So see this little mesh right here? Right? Oops. See that right there? It's enough for me to gather. And I'm going to take a latch hook this time. And I'm going to put it in the lock. I'm going to go all the way through with the latch hook. I'm going to grab that hair and I pulled it through. And my hair is still damp from the locking spray. I'm sorry, the tightening gel. And that's why I like working with the tightening gel, is because by now the locking spray would have been dry. When I'm latch hooking my locks, I'm going up the lock at an angle, poking it through the other side, grabbing the loose hairs and pulling it down at the angle, and that's how I've been able to work my way down the lock. Don't ever, ever cut your loose hairs that are not inside the lock. Don't ever cut them off. That is how you eventually get thin locks. And you don't want that. There are ways to get your loose hairs back into the lock. After everything is said and done, then you want to palm roll. This technique has been working better for me than any other technique that I have messed around with. Your lock journey is always a trial and error kind of thing. And so far, this has been the best. Everybody's locks are different. I have noticed that people with dreadlocks who have met me in person have always come across as being, they compliment me and then they say how they want their locks to be like mine. And, that's just, you can't, your locks will never look like somebody else's. So right now this is called root rubbing. And it left a little matted nest. So then I take the tightening gel, squirt a little bit on my finger, go around that matted nest, and then just go like this. Then I take a crochet hook and I start bringing in that matted nest. Pulling the hair up towards the scalp as best as you can. So, if you can get your needle parallel to the lock, that's great. And then when you are done as much as you can do at that angle, then that's when you can bring your crochet hook, and pull hairs across. Then, you get your loose hairs. So you got, look at that clump of loose hairs right there. That's when you gather it. And that's when you latch hook. Take your latch hook, stick it in all the way through so that the other end of the latch hook is poking out the other end of the latch hook, or the lock. Grab the hairs and pull it through. And then you create a long piece of hair like that. See that right there? And that's what I'm going to be working my way down the lock with the latch hook. I'm going to be pulling that in, putting the latch hook pointed up all the way through the lock, twist it around the hook, latch it, and pull the hair through the lock. Twist it, poke it through, wind it around, grab the hairs and pull it through. And this is where, about here is when the locking gel starts to get a little dry. So you just take a little bit of tightening gel, I'm just working my way down the lock to where there are no more hairs sticking outside the lock. Now when you're reaching for that tightening gel for the second time, you want to use less than you used the very first time, which I did not do this time. So now my hair is a little bit more width than what I would like, but it's still working. Now, based on your activity that you do in your personal life, will determine how often. I don't go down the shafts like this every time I do my maintenance. There are times where I am just concentrating on the roots. But if you are outdoorsy and are out playing in the wind, you might, and then after you shower and wash your hair, you might discover that your hair might be a little frizzy. And I just got back from a weekend of being on the motorcycle, and that is why I am working on root and shaft today, because my hair was a lot more frizzier than other times. So still working down the lock, no more frizzies. Now I can palm roll. Making sure that my root, the base, is solid. Kind of go in there with the crochet hook and you just kind of double check. And there you go. I'm not going to make this video for the whole length of my maintenance because that'll take forever. But I did want to show a demonstration and get it on camera, and maybe this can help other people who have the same texture of hair that I do, because yeah, there aren't very many out there. So I just thought I'd, share with the world what I do. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because I am going to actually put it on my YouTube channel. So, yep. I will see you all later. Bye.